This is the moon medicine part of the series. Tomorrow is the dark moon, new moon cusp, and I'll be doing a personal ceremony at some point during the morning, probably. I'll be going out onto a piece of land. Well, it's a little bit complicated. Let me back up and say I've been doing these ceremonies this is my fifth going on sixth year, I believe. And each dark new moon cusp, I go to a piece of land that I have some sort of connection with, whether it's the land that I'm occupying or living on, lands that I'm working on, doing work with, or have some other sort of heart connection to. In this case, over this past year, because I'm new to this region, I'm in northwestern Ontario, I've been taking this as an opportunity to introduce myself to the land and get to know the different pieces of land. And so what I've done is over the years that I've been doing research into the various pre-Christian practices, whatever I can dig up regarding my Ukrainian and Slavic roots, I've found different practices related to certain handcrafts that I've adapted in a way that becomes a personal ceremony. So one of the things that I've been doing, and I showed this on the first couple of videos, is the making of the Pysanky. There are two that I make every month. One is a gift for the land, and one is something for exhibit. They're usually duplicates of each other. So, for example, this particular one that you saw last time, that is going to be for the exhibit. The difference between this and a talisman, and I haven't yet worked this to its final stage, so we'll do a little bit of that together. The difference between them is that this egg is full. It still retains the yolk and white. This egg is empty. I don't empty it because it's the right thing to do. Actually, it's best to keep the yolk and the white intact. That's the more powerful or potent talisman, and I'll say more about that in a moment. I empty it for the exhibit because I usually do one of two things that require it to be empty. One is that I hang these. They hang off of the motanki that are made for the exhibit. And so I put a wire through from one end to the other. You see there's a little tiny hole that I've made here and here. And that's how I blow the contents out. And yes, I literally blow the contents out. It's a long process. So this one is empty. It's still a talisman because what makes a talisman is the intention and the ceremony or the personal ritual that you put into the creation of what you're creating. There's so many different things that go into the making of this, and I'll try and explain them all. So aside from the writing of the prayers through a symbolic language, there's also the application of the dye. And the dye is not only made from plants and flowers and food substances, but it's also made of water when you make the dye. And so the waters that I use, some of the water is either spring water, well water, or if I can't get access to those, then distilled water that I've purchased. But the other water is water that I have gathered through the year, usually on specific dates or times. That is what I call 3-source water. So one of the Slavic practices is that you go to sources of wild water, and preferable if it's running wild water. That means like streams or rivers, or it could be rain, sometimes lakes. And you gather some of that water, but you gather it from 3 different sources. And that's working with the number 3 is a number that's, there's a whole other sort of slew of information about numbers. But just just to know in a simple terms, 3 is considered a very strong and empowering number. When you think about the different realms, the upper realm, the middle realm, and the other realm, the lower realm, there's the number 3 that works with the tree of life. I could say more about the number 3 and other numbers, but I won't right now. So I gather water from 3 sources, and I also add that to the dye. And then when the eggs are submerged, they're absorbing and working with those waters, those wild waters, along with the substance, the dye substance itself. Then we're using beeswax to create the designs, not draw, but write the designs. And so you see my lovely bowl here full of beeswax bits. I'm using a kistka, and it's a wooden piece with wire and a little metal piece. This is actually a beautiful gift from a dear friend whose grandfather had made this, and she gifted this to me, and I feel very honored every time I use it. And I use it almost exclusively for the writing of all my Pysanky. And so a little bit of the end kind of burns and gets a bit sooty, and when the beeswax drips, it drips into the wax that I keep in my bowl. These are all, leftovers from different candles. And so I use the black beeswax, the sooty beeswax, to draw and write my designs because for me, it's a lot easier to see. I do freehand work. I don't draw with pencil ahead of time or anything like that. I don't measure with pencil. I just use my eye and my hands. And so the black actually tells me where I've written on the egg, especially because I'm often using eggs that are not white eggs, but actually different colors. The original color of this is sort of that greenish color, and the brown that you see for this one is onion dye, whereas this one, the egg was originally a brown egg, and then this bluish gray is red cabbage dye. And so each of the Pysanky, depending on what batch I'm working on and what month of the year, I'll be using different plants to make the dyes. So the beeswax is really important too because it's given a significance as well. The bees are considered to be representation of, and they work with the solar forces, the solar energies, fire forces. Beeswax is considered sacred. This cloth, where you see me using it to wipe off the beeswax once the egg is ready to be revealed, this cloth is actually considered sacred as well. So when its use is complete, because I've already completely covered this side with beeswax, and now I'm working on the other side, and when I have no more room to use it, then this can be cut up into smaller little bits of fabric, and we use it in a wiping ceremony where if you have some sort of negativity or illness or something that you just need to clear off, you use the cloth, you wipe energetically, and then you release the cloth. You can burn it. This is why I usually use cotton. You can burn it or bury it. And when you bury it, the rule of thumb is always to bury it where no feet will walk. So that tells you a little bit about the process. When I'm working with this particular one, I was actually emptying a whole carton of eggs to getting them prepared for doing the other exhibit, Pysanky. And this one, it cracked a little tiny bit at the top. So what I ended up doing is I immediately coated that crack in wax because I can't really use it for the exhibit. And I decided I'd keep the contents inside and turned it into the gift for this month for the piece of land that I'll be going out and working with. Yep. it's a long process, and there's layers upon layers upon layers of um, rich tradition involved in this work.